October 28, 1943. The USS Eldridge, a newly commissioned destroyer escort, sits docked at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. On board, a full crew and experimental equipment that, according to legend, is about to make history and horror. The generators spin up. A green-blue glow surrounds the ship's hull, and then, in an instant, the entire ship, all 306 feet of it, vanishes. Witnesses claim it reappeared moments later at the Norfolk Naval Shipyard in Virginia, over 200 miles away. Then it vanished again and returned to Philadelphia. When the Navy finally shut down the experiment, crewmen stumbled off the ship. Some were violently ill, others had gone insane, and the most disturbing reports claimed that some sailors had been fused into the ship's steel hull, their bodies embedded in the metal, still alive, screaming. Welcome to Declassified Truth. I'm your host, and today we're investigating the Philadelphia experiment, one of the most enduring conspiracy theories in American military history. For decades, this story has been dismissed as a hoax. The U.S. Navy categorically denies it ever happened. Official records contradict key details, but here's what makes this case fascinating. There's a kernel of truth buried beneath the legend. Real experiments were happening at the Philadelphia Naval Yard in 1943. Classified technology was being installed on Navy ships, and one of the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century, Albert Einstein, was consulting for the Navy on a project related to electromagnetic fields. So what really happened? Was the Philadelphia experiment a complete fabrication? Or was there a real classified program that inspired the legend? A program whose truth has been deliberately obscured. Today we're going to separate fact from fiction. We'll examine the declassified documents, interview the people who were actually there, and explore the science behind what might, or might not, have been possible in 1943. This is the Philadelphia experiment, and the truth is stranger and more believable than the legend. Let's start with where the story came from. The entire Philadelphia experiment story comes from one man, Carl Meredith Allen, also known as Carlos Miguel Allende. In 1955, 12 years after the alleged experiment, Allen began writing letters to an author named Morris K. Jessup, who had recently published a book about UFOs called The Case for the UFO. Allen's letters were bizarre, rambling, filled with strange capitalizations and underlined words, but they contained an extraordinary claim. Allen said he had witnessed the Philadelphia experiment firsthand while serving as a merchant seaman aboard a ship called the SS Andrew Furuseth. According to Allen, on October 28, 1943, he watched from his ship as the USS Eldridge vanished in a green-blue glow, reappeared in Norfolk, Virginia, and then returned to Philadelphia. He provided specific details, the names of crew members, technical descriptions of the equipment, and the horrifying aftermath. Sailors embedded in steel, driven insane, or vanished completely. Morris Jessup was intrigued but skeptical. He wrote back asking for evidence, proof, anything concrete. Allen couldn't provide any. When Jessup pressed him, Allen's responses became more erratic. He changed his story, added contradictory details. Eventually, Jessup concluded Allen was either mentally unstable or deliberately fabricating the story. But then, something strange happened. In 1956, the Office of Naval Research, the ONR, a branch of the U.S. Navy, received an anonymous package marked Happy Easter. Inside was a copy of Jessup's book, heavily annotated in the margins with handwritten notes. The annotations appeared to be written by 3 different people, each using different shades of blue ink. They discussed alien technology, UFO propulsion, and, most disturbingly, confirmed details about the Philadelphia experiment. The notes suggested the writers had inside knowledge. They used technical terminology. They referenced classified projects. The ONR took the package seriously. They contacted Jessup. They analyzed the handwriting. And then they did something unexpected. They printed a limited run of the annotated book, now known as the Varro edition, for internal distribution. Why would the Navy print copies of a book containing claims about a secret experiment that officially never happened? This is where conspiracy theorists found fuel. If the Philadelphia experiment was pure fiction, why did the Office of Naval Research care? Why reproduce the book? Why investigate at all? The Navy's explanation was simple. They were monitoring claims about classified technology to see if any real secrets had been compromised. But skeptics wondered, was there something real behind Allen's story? To answer that, we need to look at what was actually happening in Philadelphia in 1943. October 1943. World War II is raging. German U-boats are decimating Allied shipping in the Atlantic. The Nazis have developed magnetic torpedoes that home in on the metal hulls of ships. The U.S. Navy desperately needs a countermeasure. Enter degaussing. Degaussing is a real technology, declassified, documented, and widely used during World War II. Here's how it works. Ships are wrapped in large electrical cables. High-voltage charges are sent through these cables, which scrambles the ship's magnetic signature. To a magnetic torpedo, the ship becomes invisible. Not optically invisible, invisible to the torpedo's magnetic sensors. Degaussing equipment was installed on hundreds of Navy ships, including destroyer escorts like the USS Eldridge. And much of this work happened at the Philadelphia Naval Yard. Now, here's where it gets interesting. A Navy electrician named Edward Dudgeon served on the USS Angstrom, which was dry docked in Philadelphia at the same time as the Eldridge. In later interviews, Dudgeon confirmed that both ships had classified equipment installed. He described the degaussing process: massive cables, high-voltage charges, and strange visual effects. When the system was activated, Dudgeon said, it created an eerie glow around the ship, greenish-blue, caused by ionized air and electrical discharge. Sailors called it invisible to torpedoes. Sound familiar? This is likely the source of the Philadelphia experiment legend. Sailors talked about their ships being made invisible. They described strange glows. They witnessed classified technology they didn't fully understand. And over time, loose talk became legend. But there's more. Albert Einstein really was consulting for the U.S. Navy during World War II. Declassified documents confirm Einstein worked with the Navy's Bureau of Ordnance from 1943 to 1944, conducting theoretical research on explosives and detonations. Einstein was also working on his unified field theory, an attempt to unify the fundamental forces of gravity and electromagnetism into a single framework. If successful, the theory could potentially enable manipulation of electromagnetic fields on a massive scale. Conspiracy theorists latched onto this. What if Einstein's theoretical work was being applied in secret Navy experiments? What if they were trying to bend light around objects using electromagnetic fields? The problem? Einstein's unified field theory was never completed. It remains unsolved to this day. And there's no evidence, none, that Einstein was involved in invisibility or teleportation research. The Office of Naval Research has stated categorically, the physics required for invisibility or teleportation, as described in the Philadelphia experiment, do not exist. But what about the USS Eldridge itself? If the experiment happened on October 28, 1943, the ship should have been in Philadelphia. So where was it? The Navy's archives have the ship's complete deck log and war diary, declassified, publicly available, and very clear. On October 28, 1943, the USS Eldridge was not in Philadelphia. It was on a shakedown cruise in the Bahamas. The ship's log shows it departed New York on November 1st as part of convoy escort duty. It arrived in Norfolk on November 2nd, traveling by convoy, not by teleportation. The Eldridge was never in Philadelphia during the time frame of the alleged experiment. The ship's commanding officer, in a later televised interview, stated plainly, "We never went to Philadelphia." Crew members who attended a 1999 reunion laughed about the whole story. They confirmed, no experiment, no teleportation, no crew embedded in steel. So if the USS Eldridge wasn't in Philadelphia and the experiment never happened, why does this story persist? Here's the uncomfortable truth about the Philadelphia experiment. Carl Allen almost certainly made it up. Handwriting analysts later confirmed that all three different annotators in the margins of Jessup's book were actually Carl Allen using different pens. He fabricated the appearance of multiple witnesses. Allen himself admitted in later interviews that he embellished parts of the story. He couldn't provide names of crew members. He couldn't produce any physical evidence. And the SS Andrew Furuseth, the ship he claimed to be on, wasn't even in the Philadelphia area during October 1943. So why did he do it? Some believe Allen was mentally ill, suffering from delusions. Others think he was a con artist seeking attention. But here's the thing. Even though the Philadelphia experiment never happened as described, the legend reveals something true about the era. In 1943, the U.S. government really was conducting secret experiments. The Manhattan Project, developing the atomic bomb, was underway. Radar technology was advancing rapidly. Jets, rockets, and other futuristic weapons were being tested. The public knew secret weapons programs existed, but had no idea what they were. Into this atmosphere of secrecy and paranoia, a story like the Philadelphia experiment could flourish. It had all the elements people wanted to believe: government secrecy, advanced technology, Einstein's genius, and a cover-up. The story gained massive popularity in 1979 when authors Charles Berlitz and William Moore published a book called The Philadelphia Experiment: Project Invisibility. The book treated Allen's claims as fact, added new witnesses, and connected the experiment to UFOs, the Bermuda Triangle, and time travel. It became a bestseller. In 1984, a Hollywood film called The Philadelphia Experiment dramatized the story, featuring time travel and romance. The film cemented the legend in popular culture. Since then, the Philadelphia Experiment has become a staple of conspiracy theory culture. Websites, documentaries, books, and TV shows continue to explore it. And despite overwhelming evidence that it never happened, Polls show millions of people still believe some version of the story is true. Why? Because it taps into deep-seated suspicions about government secrecy. Because it makes science fiction feel real. And because the kernel of truth, real classified experiments happening in Philadelphia, gives the legend just enough plausibility to survive. But here's what's actually interesting. While the Philadelphia experiment never happened, modern science has made some of the technology theoretically possible. In 2006, scientists at Duke University demonstrated a metamaterial that could bend light around an object, rendering it invisible to certain wavelengths. It's not science fiction anymore. It's real, just not in 1943. And quantum physicists have achieved quantum teleportation of particles in laboratory settings. So while the USS Eldridge never vanished, the technologies that inspired the legend are slowly becoming reality, just 80 years too late. So, what's the verdict on the Philadelphia experiment? The sensational version, the ship that teleported, the crew embedded in steel, never happened. It's fiction, created by Carl Allen and amplified by conspiracy theorists. The USS Eldridge's logs prove the ship wasn't where it needed to be. Crew members deny it, the Navy denies it, and the physics doesn't work. But the Philadelphia experiment isn't entirely fake. Real classified experiments were happening. Degaussing technology created strange visual effects. Sailors talked about ships being made invisible to torpedoes, and Einstein really was working for the Navy. The legend is built on a foundation of truth, just not the truth conspiracy theorists want. And that's what makes this case so interesting. It shows how folklore emerges from fragments of reality, how secrecy breeds speculation, and how a good story, even a false one, can survive decades of debunking. The Philadelphia experiment is a reminder that not every conspiracy theory is true, but understanding why people believe them reveals something important about how we process information, trust authority, and interpret the unknown. The declassified documents are clear. The Philadelphia experiment, as described by Carl Allen, never happened. But the legend? That's very real. And it's not going away. This is Declassified Truth. Every Tuesday and Friday, we investigate the line between conspiracy and reality using declassified documents and verified evidence. Next video, Operation North.